There are probably some people who have other questions like the interchange out here. But I'm happy. I'm proud of the record. I don't propose that I haven't made mistakes in 40 years. But as I look around the metropolitan area, as I look at work I've done internationally, what I've done to create jobs, to improve the quality of life, to develop some models, and work that I've done with people over the course of the 40 years, I'll stand by that record and let the chips fall where they may.
With $13 trillion in debt, you're proud of the record?
Let him go ahead and ask my question since I shut it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask a tough question.
Well, let's stop it. I mean, that's nonsense. Am I happy about $13 trillion in public debt? No. But I invite people again to look at the record, how we got there. When George Bush was elected to office,
It's the truth.
it's interesting.
You didn't vote for the top months.
When George Bush was elected to office, the scorecard from the Congressional Budget Office is that we were on target to have a $5 trillion surplus. Go back and look at the record. And that was one of the reasons he offered for 2 rounds of tax cuts, is because government didn't need the money, that they would pay for themselves. Well, in the course of his 8 years, we ended up running up the deficit and drove the economy to the edge. When the month he left office, 2/3 of the month of June, we had our largest job loss. And it wasn't, I mean, these were the people who were in charge, who developed the programs, who told us what was going to happen.
5% when he left office. We're 10% now. You don't own any of that?
I'm giving an answer in terms of the $13 trillion. There is, in fact, there are 2 schools of thought. There are some people that would have said, okay, cut government spending, like we did in 1932, balance the budget, hang on for the ride. It's interesting that virtually all the independent economists, not the people who have a real axe to grind, including people who advised Obama and McCain, agreed that it was important to try and stabilize the economy and make the investment. That added some to the deficit, no question about it. And I am hopeful that we as a society will be able to come together on things that will make a difference in the long run. But I will tell you, I've had probably 3,000 people visit me this year, almost all of whom have thanked me for the Economic Recovery Act money to save jobs for schools, or for transportation, or for water, or for public safety. And people who want more help keeping the government out of free fall. That's a legitimate debate. People can look at that, but in terms of a look at where we were in 32 and what happened in 38 when Roosevelt pulled back, and then we got another hit on the Depression. I think there's a strong argument to be made that it was important to try and right the ship. And I think it's important for us to talk about where we are going forward to change how government spends overall. And some of you maybe read the interview in the New York Times 10 days ago where I got in trouble with some of the people on the blogosphere on the left because I was looking at, this is a liberal that agrees we should spend, we can change how we do business and spend less money. These are things that I don't think are conservative or liberal, but they're not going to be easy, because when we try and reduce agricultural subsidies, then there are people in the sugar industry and agribusiness that don't want to do that. When we talk about making actual changes to the delivery, for example, of Medicare, which, as I mentioned, is the biggest source of long-term federal liability, it's going to pinch. People in Florida get twice as much, on average, for a 65-year-old retired male as they do here in Portland. And we're looking at some things that are going to change that equation, and you're going to hear some people be cranky. But that's, I think, part of that discussion. Sir?